Let's dive right into this. To truly wrap our heads around the sheer, massive scale of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, we can't just look at the raw stats or the giant stadiums or the crazy logistics. We have to look at it through a deeply human, emotional lens. It's a story about pure dedication, time, and the human spirit. Because honestly, to grasp what an event of this unprecedented size really means, well, you have to understand what it means to the people who spend their absolute entire lives just trying to get there.
So, let me ask you something. How far would you travel, and how long would you be willing to wait to fulfill a childhood dream? Just keep that question tucked in the back of your mind as we go through this explainer. To kick things off, we're literally going to drop right into the dusty, vibrant streets of Casablanca, Morocco. The year, 1994. And this is where we meet a 12-year-old boy named Youssef. Now, Youssef has absolutely no money, no visa, honestly, no obvious way out of his current circumstances, but what he does have is this massive, seemingly impossible dream.
Let's set the scene here. Picture the atmosphere. You've got these small, flat-roofed homes lining the bustling streets of Casablanca. And inside one of them, young Youssef is sitting, just incredibly close to this tiny, beaten-up black and white TV set. Right beside him is his dad, a hard-working bread seller. Together, they're watching the absolute biggest sporting event in the world unfold in real time. And Youssef, his eyes are just wide with absolute wonder. He's completely glued to the magic happening on that tiny little screen.
Now remember, that year, the 1994 World Cup was being hosted in America. That is an entire ocean away from that small home in Casablanca. Anyway, Youssef steps outside into the night air, he looks up at the sky, just full of stars, he can even see the ocean way off in the distance, and he turns to his dad and makes this incredibly powerful, audacious promise. He says, "Baba, one day I will stand inside that stadium." And his dad, he just smiled at him. It was this deeply loving smile, but it was also a knowing one, because his father understood the incredibly heavy price of a dream like that. He knew exactly what it would cost a boy with literally zero resources to cross an entire ocean.
And let me tell you, that price was paid in time, and it was paid in a whole lot of sweat. We're going to fast forward now, shifting gears into the grueling decades of hard labor that it actually took to bridge that massive gap between a childhood fantasy and a physical reality. We're talking 32 years of waiting. I mean, really think about the sheer endurance required to hold on to a single goal for over 3 decades. Waking up every single day, grinding away toward a destination that is thousands and thousands of miles away.
Youssef's journey is an absolute masterclass in the relentless grind. When you look at his timeline, it spans 32 years, multiple continents, and entirely different professions. As a young guy in his 20s, he's out working on a fishing boat at sunrise in Morocco, facing rough waves, doing grueling physical labor. Then he moves to France, getting his hands dirty working as a mechanic. But he just keeps pushing. He eventually crosses the Atlantic and becomes a restaurant owner right in New York City. Over the years, his face matures. The work is incredibly hard, but that core determination, it stays exactly the same.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The magic number here is 8. Because while Youssef was working tirelessly, from the boats to the garage to the restaurant, the worlds kept right on turning, and the World Cup kept happening. He lived through exactly 8 different World Cup tournaments. 8 times the entire globe came together to celebrate. Think about it. 1998, 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018, and 2022. That is 8 entire cycles of global football history, all while he was just quietly, relentlessly working toward his goal. But for every single one of those 8 tournaments, there was this incredibly stark, frustrating contrast between his daily reality and his ultimate dream. The reality? Watching the matches completely alone. Sure, as the years passed, the screens he watched on changed. They got flatter, wider, a whole lot sharper. He upgraded from that tiny black and white box to these big, vibrant color screens. But it was always a screen. Every single World Cup, a screen. Always a screen. 32 long years of being just an observer, separated from the magic by a piece of glass, while the ultimate dream was to actually stand inside that stadium.
All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at the actual destination he's been working so relentlessly toward. The year 2026 finally arrives, and as it turns out, the event Youssef has been waiting his entire adult life to attend? It isn't just any regular tournament. It's a monumental, absolutely historic event in its own right. The macro scale of this specific World Cup actually perfectly matches the epic scale of his personal journey.
So here's the crucial point. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is the first ever 48-team tournament in history. I mean, just think about that for a second. For its entire existence, the tournament has been much smaller, a lot more exclusive. But in 2026, the whole thing expands dramatically. We're bringing in more teams, more cultures, and way more fans than at literally any point since the competition began. It is a massive, history-making structural shift for the sport.
And well, to accommodate a massive 48-team roster, you're going to need an unprecedented amount of physical space. The geographic scope of this tournament is completely off the charts. It's not just being hosted by one country. It is spread across 3 completely different North American host nations: the USA, Canada, and Mexico. The logistics, the travel, the pure, sheer footprint of this event literally spans an entire continent.
And right smack in the middle of this sprawling continental event is the grand stage for the final, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Now get this, it's the largest World Cup final venue ever built. Just picture an aerial shot on a beautiful golden afternoon. 82,000 fans packed tightly together, this absolute sea of humanity with flags from 80 different nations just waving in the wind. It is the absolute pinnacle of global sports. Honestly, it's like a modern-day Coliseum built for the entire world.
Okay. But now we need to bring the macro back down to the micro. We're transitioning from the staggering, mind-boggling logistics of an 82,000-seat stadium right back to the human element, the thing that actually makes this massive sporting event mean something. It is finally time to step off the fishing boat, step out of the garage, and step away from the television screen.
We are right inside MetLife Stadium on opening day. Imagine the deafening roar of the crowd. You're completely surrounded by fans from every conceivable corner of the world. And sitting right there in section 112 is a 44-year-old Moroccan man. Yep, it's Youssef. That 12-year-old boy with no money and no visa is now a 44-year-old man sitting exactly where he promised his father he would be.
The players line up on the pitch. The stadium goes incredibly quiet for just a fraction of a second. And then the referee blows the first whistle to start the match. Almost in slow motion, we see tears start falling down Youssef's face. He's got this wide, beaming smile. And he isn't crying because of a fantastic goal. He's crying because the 12-year-old boy from Casablanca had finally made it. That 32-year promise to his father, totally, beautifully fulfilled.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates exactly why we study these vast global events in this explainer. All those statistics, the 48 teams, the 3 host nations, the 82,000 seats, they really only matter because of the people sitting in those seats. The World Cup, right at its core, is so much more than just a football tournament. It is the story of every single person who ever believed in something bigger than themselves. It's the culmination of millions of individual journeys, heartbreaks, and massive triumphs, all converging on one single patch of grass.
Which brings us right back to you. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to turn the lens back to your own life. You've seen the 32-year timeline, you've seen the sheer, undeniable willpower it took to get from Casablanca all the way to Section 112. So, what is your overarching life dream? What is the destination that you are tirelessly working toward, even if it takes decades? Essentially, what is your World Cup story? I would genuinely love to read them, so drop it in the comments below. And hey, be sure to share this explainer with someone in your life who might just need a little reminder to keep going today. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, keep